All right, we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Customize Your Sencha Ext JS application with Sencha Themer on language localization, hosted by Sencha. My name is Raj Vayudu. I'm a marketing manager at Sencha and will be moderating today's webinar. I'm pleased to introduce today's presenter, Andres, our senior Sencha sales engineer. Before I hand over the mic to Andres to kick off the webinar, I'll take a moment to remind you that this webinar is being recorded and will be available to be on demand on this YouTube channel. Additionally, we'll host a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. If you, at any time during the webinar you have a question, please submit it via questions panel. Andres, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Raj. Well, welcome everybody. I'm about to start talking about the Sencha Themer plus localization. Before I do so, I just wanted to say that we chose these topics because they are common questions we get. And I will be creating an example that uses both. I will create just a basic application that uses Sencha Themer. I will personalize its design, and afterwards I will show you how to use language localization to change the application to Spanish. We will be using some of Sencha tools, but we will also be creating a class to manage the translations. And right at the end, I will show you how to build to production and have three different versions of the applications. Three different languages for the same application. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's start. Hello and welcome to today's webinar. Today's topic is customize your Sencha apps with Sencha Themer and language localization. I am Andres Villalba and I am a sales engineer at Sencha. The topics we are going to be covering today are how to change the Sencha theme, how to create your first custom theme, and how to test that custom theme. We will also be checking how to activate component localization, how to create your own dictionary, and how to manage multiple languages. Sencha Themer is included with Sencha Ext JS. It allows to visually customize your web applications. You can create new themes from existing ones, and it can be used for both modern and classic toolkits. Let's do our first demo of the day. This is the application that we will be creating today. As you can see, it has its own custom theme. We apply the custom theme to buttons, to the form, and to the actual grid. Also, we will be applying language localization to the same project. As you can see, I have a Spanish version and an English version. We will be using a dictionary to change the text on the front end, but we will also be using Sencha's tools to change the component's language. So let's go ahead and see how this is done. The first thing we will change is just the theme. To do this, we will open the app.json file and look for the line that says the theme and has the current theme. Right now we're using Triton. I will change it to theme material. Whenever we change the app.json file, we need to run this Sencha app refresh command. This is really simple. All we have to do is open up either a PowerShell or a command line and just type Sencha app refresh. Of course, I have to be in the folder where my project is located. It will take a few seconds, but once it is done, I can go ahead and try my application again just by refreshing. As you can see, the theme is quite similar, just the tabs are bigger. When we click, we get a little circle animation, but that's basically it for now. Let me switch back to Triton. What I will be doing now is grabbing Sencha Themer and creating my own theme. So what I will do is just click on create theme and I will enter a name here. Let's call this custom webinar theme. Take in mind that we should not use any spaces here. And I'm gonna select the project folder. Since this project was created with the modern toolkit, that's the only option I have here. However, if I created this in classic or in both modern and classic, I would get both options. I need to select a base theme. This time I'm using Triton, so I'm just gonna click on create, and it will take a few seconds to create the actual theme. Inside Sencha Themer, we can see that we have three basic panels. The left panel contains all our components. The center panel is our work area where we can see what we're doing. And the right panel is the properties panel. Since I am using the modern toolkit, take in mind that I can also switch between desktop and phone designs, and I can also flip the phone to a landscape format. Let me go back to desktop. As you can see here, we have a bunch of components. The first one, it's just the theme defaults. What we usually do here is just change the font and change the 5 basic colors, which will be our color palette. Right now, it's using a blue, white, gray, green, and red palette. So basically, if I want something different, I can do it from here. Say that I want another kind of blue. And then the background color, I'm just gonna change it to a light gray. I'm gonna change the font size to 14 pixels. And I'm gonna change the confirm color also to another shade of, and I'm gonna change the alert color into a different shade of red. Actually, the confirm color, I'm just gonna use a light yellow or orange. And now, as you can see, those 5 colors are my new palette. And we can move on and keep on changing the rest of the design. But before I do that, let me show you what happened. I have to run once again the Sencha refresh command. I also need to run the Sencha app build develop command. This will take a little bit longer, and it's not a good idea to keep on running Sencha app refresh, Sencha app build development every time I perform a different change into Sencha Themer. So instead of doing this, the next time I will be running a different command that'll make it easier. And here it is. Now I have the new color palette. Okay, now what's that command I was talking about? It's just Sencha app watch. This command will keep on looking at our project. If it notices any changes in design, it will build what is necessary. Okay, now it's ready. So let's say I go into buttons and change the design of the basic button. So I'm just gonna put it in a different shade of gray. Let's say this one. It's a little bit darker. I'm gonna round its corners so that it looks like a rounded button. Let me just try it again. I'm just gonna refresh. And since I am using Sencha app watch, I can see that everything changed without running the command again. Now let's say that we want a different color for the button when we hover over it. I'm just gonna apply the color here. And as you can see, once again, if I refresh, I can see the updated color. What else can we change? Okay, we have a lot of different options. Right now, what I'm gonna change is the actual grid. The grid has a lot of options in the properties panel. The first thing I'm gonna look at is the grid column. The grid column refers to the column titles. So first things first, I'm gonna change the background color. I'm gonna change the color of the text. I'm gonna set it up as bold, and I'm gonna change the border color too. As you can see, now I have a different design. What else? Let's see. I'm gonna change this one too. Now, if I keep on looking and I see row header, this one refers to the group header. So let's say we also want it in a different color. There it is. And now I'm gonna go ahead and change the actual cell color. So I have two different background colors to use the Zebra design. So now I have two different shades there of gray. Okay, let's go back to our browser and see how everything is looking. Okay, here's the new design. You can see this is what I changed. If I apply a group, let's say this one, I can see that new color. And say I wanna put it in a different shade when it's sorted by that column. Okay, we have a lot more options. Right now, those are the only ones I'm gonna change here. If I want to change the window design, as you can see right now, it's just a basic window. If I want to change its design, I'm just gonna use the dialog option. First, I'm gonna go into the header and change that background color. Let's say I just want something a little bit easier to read. Okay, let's see how it looks. As you can see, the color in the top is gone. Okay, now let's say that we want the accept button to have a different color than the cancel button. We can also do that, but we need to combine a little bit of Sencha Themer with our code. It is quite simple. What I have to create is a new UI. Gonna select what kind of element what kind of component I'm gonna modify, and I'm gonna give it a number, and I'm gonna give it a name. Let's say accept button. It's gonna create a new button setup, and now I can go in and have it be a different color. So this one is gonna be blue from the beginning with white text, and when I put my mouse over, it's gonna change to the same shade that I had before. I'm also gonna create a cancel button, so I'm gonna do the same thing, but this time around, I'm just gonna have it be a red button. So how do I apply these designs into my buttons? It's quite easy. All I have to do is go into my window, which is product details, and I have to look for those buttons. They are right here. And all I have to do is apply a UI. So this one is cancel dash button, and the other one is accept button. By doing this, if I go in and test, I'll see that they have been updated. And it is that simple. All we have to do is go into Sencha Themer, change a few things, run Sencha App Watch to see the changes. And if we need something extra, we may need to actually do it with CSS. Right now, as you can see in our application, I have the first column with a different color, and I am using a template, and right there I have this class which is called bold, and this is where I have the color, where I have the font weight, and I am applying this class to the first column of my product list. Here it is. And as you can see now that I changed it, it's going to be a different shade of blue. How does that work? Well, all I have to do is create a CSS file that matches the name of the actual JS class. If we want to stop Sencha watch, all we have to do is go back to our command window and press Ctrl C. And that's it. Those are the main topics that we are going to talk about. Language localization is easy with XJS. XJS allows us to change locale configuration by setting it up in the app.json file. It also allows us to create overrides to existing components. It also allows us to change the language by using overrides to existing or our own components. However, for front-end localization, we're gonna use our own class. Let's go ahead and perform our second demo of the day. For the localization part of our webinar, what we will be doing first, it will be updating first our components and having them show in a different language. This will include the sort ascending, descending columns group field options, and this will also include the date field. So this first part is also quite easy. All we have to do is go to app.json and add the Ext locale plugin. and then we can specify the actual locale. So for now, I'm just gonna say S. We have two different options though. We can add locale or we can add locales and have different languages here. I will be showing both, but for now I'm just gonna focus on only one locale. So by doing this, if I am running Sencha App Watch, it will create everything necessary. So let's take a look at it. And as you can see, it has been translated into Spanish. Look at the date field and same deal, it's in Spanish. Okay, but what about everything else? Well, with Sencha, we can change anything that we want on the front end, meaning we will be able to change the tab text, the titles, the column titles, and also our field titles. However, what we won't be able to change is each option inside the grid. This is coming from the backend, and we have to check this on the backend and recover the correct language, which we will not be doing today. So how do we do this? There is not an easy answer. We have to create everything to perform the translation. However, doing it in Sencha is quite easy. What I will be doing is creating a new folder, which I will call locale. And inside of it, I'm gonna create a file, a JavaScript file for each language. This is going to be my dictionary. So basically, I'm just gonna create here a new class. I'm gonna define it. And I have to follow the standard here in Sencha. So the class must be named the same that the folder name and the actual file. So it should be app.locale.s. And then I'm gonna define its content. First, I'm gonna define it as a singleton so that I don't have to create an instance. So I'm gonna create two things, the function that will perform the actual translation and the dictionary, which will be an associative array. So basically here I'm just gonna say, okay, if I have cancel inside my document, it will change to cancelar. And if I have accept, it will change to aceptar, and so on and so forth. Let's try just those two for now. And the translate function, what we'll do is it will receive a value, check the dictionary, and return the actual match. So basically what I will be doing is I will return dictionary value. So if I get it cancel, it will return cancelar. Let's say if I get products, it won't find it, so we'll throw an error. What I will do is just add a fail safe. Basically, if this is not defined, it will grab the original value. So if I type products, it won't find it, it will just return the original text. However, this is not just what I have to do. I have to create a main translation file. I'm gonna create that file directly inside the app folder. Just gonna call it locale.js. And right here, what I will be doing is just creating the main file. Same deal, app.locale. This is also going to be a singleton class. I'm gonna have a translate method that receives a value and returns the actual result. And what is that result? Well, I need to call the correct locale. Let's say, although I'm not gonna do it right now, let's say we also have a French file and an Italian file. So if we have all those, first we have to include them here in the locale. So let's require those files. I can just say app locale.s and then include app locale fr, app locale it, or I can just say app locale and star to include all the files. So how do I know which language I am using? Well, the manifest has the actual locale we are using. However, there is one thing to take in mind. If I am using only one language, I can get it by using the manifest and check the locale. So basically, if I'm using this instruction over here, this will work. This will get the correct language. However, if I'm using more than one language by using locales, I'm putting more options in here. Instead, I have to use the profile variable. So for now, just to make it a little bit easier, I will use locales even if I have one language there. And how will I get the actual translation from the locale file? Okay, it will be quite easy. I will just say app.locale.s.translate and set the value. However, right now I'm typing ES there. That's not what I want. What I want to use is the actual current language, which is the X manifest profile. And that should be it. However, let's say that for some reason I have here a different language that is not defined in the locale folder. So it's a good idea to check if this variable is defined. And if it is, then we can return the actual value. If not, we will do the same thing and just return as a failsafe the original value. So let's try calling this file. So what I will do, it's go into my views. And since the only values I have are accept and cancel, I will look at my window where I have those buttons. So basically all I have to do is type app.locale, translate, and put the word there. And same deal over here. I'm just gonna have accept. Okay, now that I have everything ready, it's a good idea to create my app once again. Okay, let's see if it's working. And as you can see, now it says aceptar and cancelar. So we can do the same for the rest of the words we have here. Let's just do that. I'm gonna fast forward, but let's see how it works. Okay, now that I have everything, I have to make sure that it's also in the dictionary. This time I don't have to perform the Sencha build since I didn't change any structure. All I did is add a few options. So let's try it again and see if now everything else has been translated. And as you can see, we have the tabs in Spanish, the title, the column titles also in Spanish. We didn't add this word, so let's do it in a couple of minutes. And the contents are still in English. The edit window is now in Spanish too. And so are the components. So we forgot actions. That means we don't have it here in our dictionary. I'm just gonna add it here. And let's just refresh. And as you can see, it now says acciones in Spanish. So what if we have several languages? Okay, by adding all the other languages here, we can tell XJS to create our project in 3 different versions. We have to add the xlocale, the locales. We will have to go down where the output is and add here a new folder with the value of app locale. By doing this, we can go in and just create our production build. It will take a few minutes, but it will create a folder for each language. Okay, let's see what happened. We now have a build folder, and inside of it, we have both of our environments, development one and the production. And as you can see, we have an N, S, and French folder. Inside of it, we have the full application. We have it on each language. So if I go in and open this file and run it, we will be able to see that this application is in English. If instead I go into the Spanish folder and try it out, we can see that it is now in Spanish. If we wanted to switch between languages, what I would do is create somewhere in our window a split button where I could switch between different languages. Also, just as a quick side note, if we go into Sencha Docs, you will be able to see that we have a short document about localization, and it talks about using overrides to localize components. This is another option. I'm not gonna go through it since this is the one that has a little bit more information on our Sencha Docs. So hopefully what I explained today is more than enough for you to get you started. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed today's webinar. Let's move on to a brief round of questions and answers.
Thank you for the excellent presentation, Andres. It looks like we have few questions that have been submitted. If you are still with us and have a question, please submit it via questions panel. The first question we have on Sencha Themer: I have a license for Sencha Ext JS. Where do I find my activation key?
Hey, hello. Well, when you get your license, you should have gotten an email with your license key. If it's not there, if you well, it has to be there, but if you have deleted the email, I think the best thing to do is to contact support, and they will help you get your key back. You needed to install Sencha Themer and some other software that comes with XJS.
Sounds good. And the next question we have here with regards to localization, is it possible to switch between languages?
Yes, I didn't include that in the video because that would have taken another 40 minutes. But what I would do is actually just create a split button. And remember that that I showed you how to create in production different languages. So we have a folder for each language. So what I would do is in that split button, if they choose English, I will redirect to the English folder. If they select Spanish, then the same deal, but Spanish, and so on and so forth. I see, let me see. I also see another question, Raj. They're asking about mixing different themes. Solomon asks, is it possible to mix themes? For example, use crisp theme, but with icons of classic theme. And this is a little bit harder than it sounds. Not directly. I think you will have to actually go into the CSS and play around with it. So it's sorry to not give you a better answer, but you will probably need to create your own CSS file and override what you need. Same deal with your next question, Solomon. You're asking how to reduce the size of icons of pagination toolbar in the Crisp theme. It's actually the same deal. If you're using an older version, you were using, Sencha was using images for the pagination buttons. However, if you're using right now the latest version, we're using Font Awesome. So you shouldn't have an issue with the size of the icons. We got another question here. It's asking how the original app was generated. I can show you that right now. Give me a second. I'll show you quite fast here. What I usually do is I basically create a new folder. Let's say I can do it with Windows folder, but let's say example. So let me get into example. And it's really easy to generate an app. I actually have it here. This is what I do. I use the Sencha SDK. I specify the folder where my SDK is. Then I type generate app, what kind of toolkit you want to use, either modern or classic, a name for my app, and where I want to save it. So this right now will fail because the XJS folder is somewhere else. In a second. We look around. Actually, no, it would work. So basically, I'm using this same one that I had here. And this is gonna create this app here. It will take a while, but it will run a Sencha command and create the app. Right now, I am using Sencha command. You can use npm, but that's not part of this presentation. That was a question from Ron. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Andres. I think it looks like we have answered all questions asked this time. Um, I would like to remind everyone today webinars was recorded and you will be receiving a follow-up email with the link recording shortly. Once again, thank you for attending today's webinar and we look forward to you joining you next time.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.